Happy Christmas time. Starting off on a good note. Guys, I hope you had a good Christmas. I'm sorry I couldn't get this video out earlier. I wanted to do it before I went to go visit my sister, but things did not happen that way. But we're back, and at this point, you know the drill. We're doing a chest-only challenge run. I can only use equipment from treasure chests, nothing else. This includes talismans, armor, and weapons, but I want things to be a little more difficult because it's the only thing that excites me anymore. I can only use equipment from the same area as the next boss I'm going to take down. So, for example, if I plan on fighting Radon, I can only use stuff found in Caelid. Once I move on from Caelid, it's out of the picture. All weapons, armor, and talismans from that area must be dropped, never to be used for the rest of this run. Without further ado, my name is Josh, and I hope you enjoy the Elden Ring chest-only challenge run, or whatever I'll call it. Allow me to play my own intro music. Step 1, get naked. Step 2, run around like a maniac trying to gather as much loot as possible from any chest that I can find. Now, armor is not exactly common in, treasure chests, so I hope you enjoy staring at my Barney-colored poop dispenser for the majority of this video. Luckily, there are multiple chests right before getting Torrent. I gathered the Lordsworn's greatsword and the flail, just in case. It's essential for this run to visit most, if not all, ruins, as a lot of them harbor treasure chests underground, not to mention wandering, caravans that you'd be surprised have actually pretty good loot. Margit was first, and because I didn't really want to utilize a great weapon right at the beginning, I went with the Lordsworn's greatsword. Come here, boy! Alright. Oh, and let me make something clear before we move on. I don't really want to make any strong builds in the beginning of the game because of two things. The bosses don't really require strong builds for me to slap around, and as soon as I'm done, all the equipment I just gather will be gone. So once we're past the lakes, it's a different story. Ooh, the twin blade. Can I wield it? I actually haven't used the twin blade at all. I also grabbed the Blessed Dew talisman, not because I sought it out, but I just stumbled upon it, so why not? Oh, I don't like this weapon, actually. Godric was next, and I have to say, I have nothing to say. It's come to the point where I've done so many challenge runs that I become almost repetitive. Godric is easy, make a somewhat funny joke that'll probably have people click off and move on. Although, as I was fighting him, I did wonder, can Godric actually beat Elden Ring? Like, what if we gave him a controller and said, play this? Do you think Godric could do it? I mean, he has enough hands to play 8-player Super Smash by himself, so perhaps he could invade himself and beat the bosses with 3 characters? I don't know, I'm actually very curious. Leave your answer in the comment section. The lakes were next, and you guessed it, I'm gonna use the Ice Rhine Hatchet. I know, what a shocker. Listen, I already suffered plenty in my Callisto Protocol challenge run, which you should definitely check out, by the way. It was a fantastic run. Don't worry, it's only for the Feet Queen, and then I upgraded the hatchet to +4 and headed towards the academy. Oh boy. Fool! As per usual, Renala was nothing out of the ordinary, although I didn't calculate how much damage a 700k chandelier would do. Where's the other one? Oh!
Knowledge.
So that surprised me. But other than that, Renala only took 2 tries. I mean, beating women is pretty easy. Renala didn't even get a chance to summon anything, which perhaps was due to my damage, but I was happy with my fight. I took the Magma Worm path as usual, and for those wondering, I counted this section as a part of the lakes. It's like the transition area between areas, so I think it's alright to use the hatchet one last time. Now that we're in mid-game territory, I would rather not take the brunt of all future attacks, so time to gather more than just hopefully one weapon. It's unfortunate because I looked around on all the wiki articles and they don't have a section for chest-only items. I think they should, because it means I have to run around once again looking for any sort of equipment, which again is probably just going to be ruins or caravans. Luckily, I know where at least one good weapon is, the Troll Sword. It's actually not the worst strength weapon, which is what my stats support as of right now, so it's really not a bad find. The Lux Ruins harbored an underground chest guarded by the, what is it called? Demi-Human Queen. And what I got was definitely worth the encounter. What you got in here? Oh. That could be useful. Unfortunately, there wasn't much else I could find. I mean, sure, there was the caravan that had the great stars, but I had already used it in another challenge, and I didn't want to be repetitive. I had no choice but to face the Dragonic Tree Sentinel with armor similar to Tarzan's. I had to search Lindo Capital for more equipment. I thought that Lionel set would be perfect for this run, but it's found on a bed, not in a chest, so that doesn't count. Other than that, like, I couldn't find anything in the capital, according to my knowledge, which you guys know well enough that my knowledge means absolute garbage. I took on Godfrey, playing the classic poke and roll game with him. It wasn't that bad, although I'm not looking forward to Morgott wearing only Adam's favorite piece of cloth. And then I remembered the Sage's Cave. See, caves or dungeons I usually just don't think about because the items they drop are from bosses and not exactly from chests. But the Sage's Cave is very different, as it has about 7 chests throughout the whole area. Some items were pretty useless. Grease? Thunderbolt? But what matters is that I have the skeletal mask, the raptor's black feathers, and the raptor's talons. For the sake of having a somewhat theme here, I switched to the raptor's talons because, combined with the chest piece, that's a 20% boost in jumping attacks, which is pretty good. We finally have some armor, and for Morgott, I'm going to need it. I'm not exactly great at this fight. Funny enough, Morgott over time has really grown on me. I've come to figure out that he has more openings than I thought, making this fight more manageable than before. I was hoping my Hobbs would deal more damage, but considering my weapons are light and fast, it makes sense. Perhaps it would be better with a troll sword and the raptor's talons in my offhand, or something like that. Yet another boss that I took down on the first try. Elden Flaffy was pretty easy. That's like the 4th Pokemon joke I've done in the past 2 videos, and I'm not proud of that. Time for a clean slate for the... It's been a while. I found out that I could look on the Elden Ring interactive map, have locations on, and search for ruins or dungeons on a separate tab, not only to see where they are, but what items the chests contain. Here's the problem. I looked everywhere on the interactive map. There is not a single chest in the entirety of the mountaintop of the giants. Not one. I am a naked purple man in minus 32-degree weather Fahrenheit, and I'm supposed to fight the fire giant. Funny enough, I actually gave it a few attempts with only fists. That was actually pretty good. So here's what I'll do. I will allow it this one time to use the equipment from the previous area, but I can't upgrade it. Whatever I have is whatever I have. My raptor claws are at plus 13, and that's where they'll stay. It was a long, egregious battle against the fire giant. I suffered many times at the hands of the feet of this boss. Still, it only took a few tries, mainly due to the fact that some of those attempts were me bare-fisting his foot fungus, but altogether, it wasn't that bad. I give most damage credit to the bleed status on the talons because it gave me some confidence as the fight continued. I always try to find something to talk about as the boss footage, rolls in the background, but this fight took me 7 minutes, and I'm not gonna talk here for 7 minutes, so let's just keep on going. Crumbling Fair Missoula is not next. I actually want to bully Radahn first. And I know the perfect weapon for this boss. Even with being over-leveled, Radahn's damage was kinda scary because I couldn't find any armor again. Looking back at the footage, this fight was actually quite sloppy. I got him well below half health before the second phase, which is great, but then after that, I made literally all the wrong choices for finding openings or dodging his attacks. I remember when everyone said that this boss was difficult, which, he definitely was at the time. I think everyone, including me, was intimidated by the fact that the game lets you summon an entire army to fight him. Now he's pretty much a pushover. His gravity slam has such a wide opening. I could probably go downstairs and take a poo and come back to him still winding up his killer move. This fight could have been much better, but I'm glad that I got to use the Visage Shield to finish him off. If you were wondering what's my favorite shield in the game, by the way, you're looking at it. I love that shield and how it's always staring directly into my soul. Okay, so we've reached a point where trying to use only chests from the same area is not only impossible, but it's kind of boring. So forget the rules. This is my video. I can do what I want. We are now going to use every single item found in a chest to our advantage in order to create a somewhat decent build. I have never used the Meteoric Ore Blade, so we're gonna use that. We already have the Ritual Sword Talisman, which is great, as well as the Blessed Dew Talisman. Our armor is not exactly perfect, but in Crumbling Fair Missoula, the full Drake Knight set can be found inside a chest, so we'll be going for that very shortly. However, my stats are not optimal for wielding the Ore Blade, so I went to Necron to beat meat and grab a Larval Tier. Since I'm going to use every chest item, I made sure to look up any possible areas I've missed that can help me out. Turns out, I've missed a lot, which is not surprising for me. I found the Green Turtle Talisman, faster stamina recovery, the Erdtree's Favor +1, increased HP, stamina, and equip load, and that'll do for now. The other talismans I want will be accessible later in the game. Hello, this is Josh from the future to let you guys know that I never did grab those talismans, so the ones I announced are the ones that I have. Thank you for your time. I upgraded the Ore Blade to +9 and prepared to fight the Foreskin Duo, as the armor set can't be accessed until I beat this boss. With the Meteoric Ore Blade, man, this fight was pretty easy. I mean, I died once, but on the second try, everything almost went smoothly. For some reason this time around, I could not dodge that fat one's heavy thrust. I received a failing grade when it comes to how many times I successfully dodged it. Besides that, the fight went very smoothly. I tried a few times to use the Gravitas weapon art, but it was only really useful when Fatty was rolling up besides the pillar. Again, like on previous runs, when it comes to every time I face these two, once you get past the initial 2v1, if your damage is good, which mine was, you can keep it out of 1v1 for the rest of the fight. I actually like these bosses individually. I think they have great designs, cool movesets, intriguing second phases. I mean, it's all there. Too bad that it's ruined by the fact that it's a gank, and yeah, they're much easier now than before. I remember that these incest bros were nothing short of frustrating on my first playthrough. That was rough. But all that's behind us now, and what lies ahead is the Drake Knight armor set. Finally, after 8 hours, we have a full set of armor. Malekith was next, in which I did a great job at being a coward. I just wasn't playing well for this fight, man. It was 11 p.m., I had a long day with my friends, just give me a break. It still only took 2 attempts, but both attempts were very sloppy. On my second attempt, I kept landing right next to the sword when he would plunge it into the ground, meaning I could do nothing but take it like a man. I couldn't comprehend that dodging away was the smarter idea, but like I said, it was 11 p.m. at this point. Malekith down, and I wanted to do the crippling old King Ghidorah next, but I thought it would only be appropriate to use the Dragon Slayer for this boss.
No! That one hurt a lot.
I love the Dragon Lord overall, but his lightning really annoys me sometimes. Like, why does it stick around longer than my childhood insecurities? His lightning slams leave an after effect that lingers on the ground, so even if you perfectly dodge the slam, the lightning after the slam will still hit you. That's actually a problem with many of the bosses in this game. They all have these AoEs or attacks that cancel out a perfect dodge. They cover so much ground and deal insane damage. I know there's a specific way to dodge those attacks, but in the midst of battle, I'm not really thinking about that. Dragon Lord, for example, it's best to dodge away, but I was playing ultra aggressive, so I would dodge in. Take it from me, it doesn't work as well. In all honesty, I wasn't really built to wield Guts' sword anyway, so the Meteoric Ore Blade was doing much more damage, almost as much as the Greatsword per hit. Another 2 attempts was all it took.
I commend your spirit, but alas, none shall take the throne. Queen Marika.
Yeah, I still hold a grudge against Gideon from the last challenge, but no worries, as it only took 2 tries this time around. Not much to say here, except I'm glad I didn't bite my PlayStation 4 controller again. If you watch the Weathered Straight Sword run, then you'll know more of the context. I mean, at this point, he's almost as easy as Godric. I absolutely love the fight, don't get it twisted, but man, my aggression was so good for this fight. I might actually start doing more difficult runs at this point, because I've played this game so many times, I think I can do it. But anyways, I didn't even care that he was causing earthquakes beneath my feet. I wanted to see if I could stun him mid-animation. It didn't work, but what matters is that my momentum did not stop. I tanked some of his largest attacks and ended with stunning him mid-scream, plunging my space sword into his stomach. I don't know how many of you will get that reference, but we'll see. Now, normally I like to take on Mog and Melania before the final boss, but this time around I wanted to officially beat Elden Ring in under 10 hours, and that's exactly what I did. My third eye opened wide for this fight as I was finding more openings, even using heavy attacks to stun Radagon consistently. The key here is to not be afraid, as it is with many things in life. I was completely calm throughout his entire first phase, and I beat him mercilessly. The Elden Beast was a little more difficult, mainly due to the Elden Star spell, but for one, it's been nerfed to the ground, still annoying though, and two, once you get past that, it's an easy game over. The final boss was defeated, and I beat Elden Ring in only 9 hours with chest-only items. However, Mog and Melania still remain, as it is tradition around here to beat them as well. Which I do want to point that out. There's a lot of challenge runs on YouTube when it comes to Elden Ring, where they don't really tackle Dragon Lord, Melania, and Mog, which I don't know why, but anyways. Mog only took 1 attempt. He's similar to Godric, where I really have nothing to say as you just beat him normally here. I did have a couple of scares. I walked into the blood flames more than I usually do, but I stayed composed and overcame this pedophile. Remember, adapt, overcome. Melania, I am shocked to say, only took me 3 tries. This is one of the hardest bosses I've ever faced in gaming history, but now, after so many runs, she has been reduced to, I would say, Fume Knight level of difficulty. Still intimidating, but as long as I keep my composure, everything will turn out smoothly. Now that I have a decent build, that's kind of what I expected, but when it happened, I was really proud of myself. I like to use bigger weapons here, but with the Ore Blade, there were more openings, even more than with the Weathered Straight Sword run that I did. I mean, at this point, I've fully memorized what attacks have hyper armor and what attacks don't, so if I had time, I could easily interrupt her before she went too crazy with her combos. The second phase, Shadow Clones, I used to struggle with immensely, but I realized that running away from the first 2 leaves you out of range, and you just dodge the thrusts. If you're far enough, Melania herself won't even reach you. All in all, it was a great fight for me. And that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. I beat Elden Ring with chest-only items, and it was a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed. I would love to hear more suggestions from you. If you still enjoy these runs, I'll keep on making them, but if you would like to see other videos, I am more than open to hear other ideas. I do want to, of course, in between the challenges, go back to my general gaming essays. I used to do those, and I stopped for some reason, but I want to do that again. Just talking about bosses in general, like my least favorite bosses from gaming, or how games need more giant creatures, just like random fun topics. I like to have variety, but anyways, don't let me keep you here any longer. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care everyone, and of course, stay safe.